Hello there. This being God's Obedient Servant channel. Um, Still in, well, as the title says, we're Exodus chapter 10. We left off on chapter 9. The rain and hail and the storms destroyed the crops and anyone left out in it. And Pharaoh, once again, said, "You can go," and then changed his mind. So, so we'll go ahead and jump right on in here. It's not a very long chapter today. Let's go ahead and just start off in verse 1 here. And the Lord said unto Moses, Go in unto Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the heart of his servants, that I might show these my signs before him, and that thou mayest tell in the ears of thy son and of thy son's son what things I have wrought in Egypt, and my signs which I have done among them, that ye may know how that I am the Lord. And Moses and Aaron came in unto Pharaoh, and said unto him, Thus saith the Lord God of the Hebrews, How long wilt thou refuse to humble thyself before me? Let my people go, that they may serve me. Else, if thou refuse to let my people go, behold, tomorrow will I bring the locust into thy coast, and they shall cover the face of the earth, that one cannot be able to see the earth, and they shall eat the residue of that which is escaped, which remaineth unto you from the hail, and shall eat every tree which groweth for you out of the field. And they shall fill thy houses, and the houses of all thy servants, and the houses of all the Egyptians, which neither thy fathers nor thy fathers' fathers have seen, since the day that they were upon the earth, upon this day. And he turned himself and went out from Pharaoh. So in this one, before, where he talked about the storm, it didn't. It only destroyed what was growing, but didn't destroy the seeds that was going to be coming up next. And so the locust will finish everything else off. It's pretty much what they're saying. So eat everything else. So continue on, verse 7. And Pharaoh's servant said unto him, How long shall this man be a snare unto us? Let the men go, that they may serve the Lord their God. Knowest thou not yet that Egypt is destroyed? So it said, like, the locust is coming, there isn't much left that they're going to be able to salvage for a very long time. Most of their livestock has been killed by disease. Ones that weren't, that was left out in the field, they were destroyed, and even the servants, because they didn't hearken unto what Moses said, that anyone left out in the fields. Some did, but not all. This goes into the other lessons where if God cares for you, cares for your society, you're going to have there's things that's going to happen when you disobey God, your life gets a lot harder. Now, in this scenario, in this teaching here, God is the one allowing this to happen to show the world, at this point in time, the Egyptians are the world leaders, because people haven't really went too far from that part of the planet yet. People haven't really went too far north or too far south. So the Egyptians are the center point at this time of the world leader. They are the strongest one. So God's letting his presence be known to them of who he is and who the real God is. It's not a sphinx, it's not no sun god, it's none of that stuff. It's him. But, it said, like, he's going to, in today's time, with us being under grace, it's a little different story. I mean, God will still teach us lessons as we need to learn them, and sometimes you learn them harshly. I've went through this as well, And it wasn't really God doing it to me. It was the absence of God and Satan running more wild is what was doing it to me. But it said, like, once I started obeying God more and everything else, those other problems just disappeared. They went away. It said, like, once I started doing what God wanted me to do, it was like the weight of a car or a house or something was lifted off of me. It's just like instant, almost instantaneously. So, following God is very important, and this is where you get that inner peace at. When you're following God, you just have that more peace in life. But if you say you follow God and you really don't, God will make your life really hard. A lot of people want to complain about stuff like that, but saying where's God because of this, because of that. Yeah, it's not really God doing it; it's the absence of God. Um, Satan rules this world right now, and so there's two truths to a lot of things. If you are following God, you're going to have problems in your life. If you're following God faithfully, you accept the problems in your life and you just move on. If you're truly, really following God, and when God's given you a mission, then it's called the hedge of protection. You'll hear about this, especially in the book of Job. I haven't gotten there yet, but there's some things still going to be happening in your life, but God will put a hedge of protection around His very loyal followers. And it said, like, you're always going to have problems on earth because it's being ruled by Satan. If you're following God, Satan's going to do everything he can to pull you away from God and have you follow him, or at least follow the world, which is him. So you have to be careful in those areas. But so we'll get to more of those teachings later. So continue on here in verse 8. And Moses and Aaron were brought again unto Pharaoh, and he said unto them, Go, serve the Lord your God, but who are they that shall go? And Moses said, We will go with our young, and with our old, with our sons, and with our daughters, with our flocks, and with our herds will we go, for we must hold a feast unto the Lord. And he said unto them, Let the Lord be so with you, as I will let you go, and your little ones look to it, for evil is before you. Not so. Go now, ye that are men, and serve the Lord, for that ye did desire. And they were driven out from Pharaoh's presence. And the Lord said unto Moses, Stretch out thine hand over the land of Egypt for the locust, that they may come up upon the land of Egypt, and eat every herb of the land, even all that the hail had left. And Moses stretched forth his rod over the land of Egypt, and the Lord brought an east wind upon the land all that day, and all that night, and when it was morning, the east wind brought the locust. And the locust went up over all the land of Egypt, and rested in all the coast of Egypt. Very grievous were they. Before them there were no such locust as they, neither. Oh, there was no such locust as they, neither after them shall be such. So, and you can look up what locusts are and stuff. They're pretty big grasshoppers. Growing up as a kid, we used to see really big grasshoppers in America with a lot of the pesticides and everything else used on foods and everything. I have not seen them since. I said I was born in the 70s, small child growing up. But I still remember like being out and catching these really huge grasshoppers. And Locusts are kind of like that, except they go in massive swarms and they can fly. The really, most grasshoppers can fly a little bit. I don't know if all forms of grasshoppers can get really big, but the more introduction of pesticides for crops and everything has seen a diminish of those. I said since I was a kid, I have not seen those big grasshoppers anymore. So, uh, some people that are quite a bit younger than me hearing this, you probably have never seen any at all. But from what I know of the locust part, they're pretty big grasshoppers in a massive swarm, and they eat a lot. You can find some stuff. I mean, you still have swarms of locusts throughout especially in Africa and other parts of the world. They still go in swarms, and so they've documented what they do and how they do and everything else. And yes, so they eat everything as they go because there's just so many of them. It's they got a lot of little bellies to fill, and since they fly everywhere, they use up a lot of energy. So they'll burn up everything they eat. So they got to eat a lot constantly as they travel. So continue on here, verse 15. For they covered the face of the whole earth so that the land was darkened, and they did eat every herb of the land and all the fruit of the trees which the hail had left, and there remained not any green thing in the trees or in the herbs of the field through all the land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron in haste, and he said, I have sinned against the Lord your God and against you. Now therefore forgive, I pray thee, my sin only this once, and entreat the Lord your God that he may take away from me this death only. And he went out from Pharaoh and entreated the Lord. So here we go again. Pharaoh's, we pretty much know, he's asking for forgiveness. He's admitted his fault and everything else. But we pretty much know what the story is going to be here. That, he's just trying to deceive. So, but, continue on. Verse 19. And the Lord turned a mighty strong west wind, which took away the locusts and cast them into the Red Sea. There remained not one locust in all the coast of Egypt. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart so that he would not let the children of Israel go. And the Lord said unto Moses, Stretch out thine hand toward heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt. And Moses stretched forth his hand toward heaven, and there was a thick darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days. And they saw not one another, neither rose any from his place for 3 days, but all the children of Israel had light in their dwellings. And Pharaoh called unto Moses and said, Go ye, serve the Lord, only let your flocks and your herds be stayed, let your little ones also go with you. So you can see a trend here. Moses is like, okay, you can go, but these stay, which Moses already said all of them must go because they're going to do a feast. And get more details of this here. Verse 25. And Moses said, Thou must give us also sacrifices and burnt offerings, that we may sacrifice unto the Lord our God. Our cattle also shall go with us. There shall not an hoof be left behind, for thereof must we take to serve the Lord our God, and we know not with what we must serve the Lord until we come thither. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not let them go. And Pharaoh said unto him, Get thee from me, take heed to thyself, see my face no more, for in that day thou seest my face, thou shalt die. And Moses said, Thou hast spoken. Well, I will see thy face again no more. So, so this you can see here. You got this little picture. That's normally the end of the chapter there. So this was a kind of a short one, um, but there's still a lot to learn from it. Of course, there's always kind of something to learn from any of the teachings. Um, and here, though, you kind of see where it says a lot that the Lord has hardened Pharaoh's heart. Uh, I always, I've always wondered about that myself, but also that was uh, God was using Pharaoh as a tool in this to teach the other people of Egypt also not just to teach them for what was it? I think it said 4 or 5 generations. God hasn't spoken even to the Hebrews or brought up a leader until Moses for the Hebrews. So also this is a lesson for the Hebrews to share in their stories, which of course is here in the Bible for us to read, and also it's stories that they passed down to their generations because of the ones that witnessed it. It was always passed down as well. That they saw these wonders, that they saw these with their own eyes, and these are going to be, these are it's called the plagues of Egypt. Um, but it said you're going to see a trend here after a bit, because not just the Egyptians saw this, the Hebrews saw this. So the Hebrews are also supposed to know who God really is, and even their hearts sway, even the ones that witness these miracles. But I said, kind of getting ahead of myself here. They'll be coming across that more in the lessons. I always kind of get ahead of myself. I jump down rabbit trails sometimes and take off, and I have to get back on the main trail once in a while. Quit chasing rabbits, but it's kind of just my personality and who I am when I talk. But so I'm going to go ahead and end the lesson here. So hope everyone else has a very good Sunday. I'm having a pleasant one so far. But yep, that's pretty much it on this lesson. Until next time, y'all have a good day and God bless.